Alright, what's up everybody, we're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one today. So we did the top 10 point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, and centers. But now we're doing our top 50 players in the NBA. Of course, right about now there's a lot of top 100 lists and top 50 lists, stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? Let me do it. I'm not going to do 100 because that's a lot, but top 50 players in the NBA, my personal list. I'm gonna explain the little details of it once we get really into it. But yeah, thank you guys for views on videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, also like that. Really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yes, might be a long video, so I don't want to waste a whole lot of your time. Let's get right into it. So let me explain a little before we get right into it. So, of course, I did the top 10 point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, centers. That's 50 players right there, but it's not necessarily all the top 10 players. There's some players that made the top 10 in their positions, but didn't make the top 50 list. And there's some players that didn't make the top 10 list in their position, but they did make it onto the top 50 players list. Because honestly, some positions are better than others. There's some positions that had like two other guys that didn't make the top 10, but I think were better than the bottom of the top 10 of other positions. If that makes sense, you'll understand once we get into it. And alright, yeah, let's get it started. Very excited to show this. It was very hard to make, honestly, but we pushed through it, and now we're gonna start it right here, starting at number 50, where I have LaMelo Ball. LaMelo, injury-plagued season. Unfortunately, last year only played in 36 games, and averaged 23 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, and a steal, while shooting 41% for the field and 37% from 3. So yeah, he did have a very injury-plagued season, only played in 36 games, and you saw that when he's not out there with the Hornets, it's not good. You know, he is the franchise right now over there in Charlotte, and he's super good. I feel like people kind of forget how good LaMelo Ball really is, again, because he didn't really play a lot last year. The Hornets are very bad, and the Hornets have a lot of other things that are going on around their organization that is taken away from the actual play on the court. But LaMelo is so good. He was already an All-Star in his second season. He's gonna be a multiple-time All-Star as long as he's, you know, playing like the way he's playing. You know, he just really facilitates everything for Charlotte. You know, his passing ability is amazing, his scoring ability, shooting ability. You know, just consistent, getting triple doubles and double doubles with assists, and really, I mean, he led the Hornets to 2 play-in team like scenarios. Like looking at the team then, like that team maybe shouldn't have been as far as they were, but LaMelo being as great as he is, he took them really far. You know, and now hopefully we get a healthy LaMelo Ball season this year. We'll see what he can do with the Hornets. The Hornets again are not a great team, but with LaMelo there, maybe, you know, he can lift the ceiling for that team. Who knows? At 49, I have Miles Turner. Turner, in 62 games with the Pacers last season, averaged 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, and assists, and 2 blocks, shooting 54% from the field and 37% from 3. One of the better, quote, 3-and-D centers, I guess, usually in his career. He's a really good three-point shooter for a big man, and he's one of the better shot blockers and rim protectors in the league. But last year, he took a big step on his offensive scoring game. You know, a lot more consistent, a lot more aggressive down low scoring. He has some big games, average career highs in points per game, shooting percentage as well from the field. He had a career high in that. He also had a career high in rebounds per game. He had a really big year, and he got awarded with a contract extension from the Pacers. Now maybe his name's finally off the trade block. Who knows? But yeah, he's going to be a big part of that Indiana Pacers team, and I'm very interested to see if that season I had last year continues to improve, or if he goes back down to what he was before, which is still pretty good. It's still giving you about 13 points per game with over 2 blocks and shooting solid from the 3-point line. You know, so it's still very good. It's just last year he had a career year. At 48, I have DeJounte Murray. Murray in 74 games in Atlanta last year averaged 20.5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1.5 steals, while shooting 46% from the field and 34% from 3. Last year, even though the Hawks had a pretty disappointing year, DeJounte was the big move made over there to try to raise their team, but it didn't really happen. But DeJounte is still one of the best two-way guards in the league. I mean, defensively, you don't really get much better than him at the guard position. Yeah, steals, just guarding different positions is great. And then offensively, he's really taking a big step as well. In 2022, he made his first All-Star team. And then last year in Atlanta, even though the ball was out of his hands a lot more and his stats kind of went down, he still had a really good year. He still showed a lot of comfortability, you know, having the ball in his hands, getting to the rim and scoring the mid-range. A 3-point shot, took the most amount of threes ever last year, and he shot 34%, which is better than the last 2 seasons. So DeJounte's really, really good. I'm very interested to see how he plays. How him and Trey, if they can learn how to play off each other, because if they do, it's going to be a really good team. At 47, I have Tyler Hero. Hero, in 67 games last year in Miami, averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 44% from the field and 37% from 3. He's probably, arguably, well, besides Jimmy, he's really a big part of the Heat's offense. He's one of the only guys on the team that can really create and go get their own, and he's a big part of the Miami Heat team. Obviously, won Sixth Man of the Year a few years ago, then became a starter because they kind of need him to be a starter for that offensive initiation and creation ability, and he did that pretty well. Gets 3-level scoring, get to the rim, mid-range 3-point shot is pretty good. He's been getting a lot better in playmaking and passing, which is a big thing that he needs to do as well to get everyone else involved. And even though he didn't play in the playoff run and they went all the way to the finals, and there's a lot of talk this offseason about him potentially getting traded for Damian Lillard, didn't happen, so now he's still in Miami, but it's still a really good option for Miami. And I'm expecting Tyler Hero to have a big season, especially after all the offseason talk that's been going around his name. At 46, I have Evan Mobley. Mobley in 79 games at Cleveland last year, averaged 16 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.5 blocks, shooting 55% from the field, 21% from 3. Defensive monster. Made all defensive team last season, and in his second year, he was finishing top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year. It's probably going to be a Defensive Player of the Year winner award very, very soon, maybe multiple times in his career, probably. Just so versatile on the defensive end. Moves his feet very well for a 7-footer. And guarding the perimeter, his length, lets him get to a lot of block shots. Very athletic as well. Can guard the paint. Just so good on the defensive end, and offensively, he's very solid as well. He's gotten a lot better in scoring inside the paint with a little mid-range jumper, little hook shots and stuff like that. And then his passing ability is very solid. He's not a crazy point center type passer, but he has a good IQ where he can make the right pass when you need him to. The only thing really that he needs to improve on is his jump shooting, especially if he's going to play the power forward next to Jared Allen. He's got to improve that jump shot a little bit more. And, of course, just being stronger and being more aggressive down low in the paint. But all signs are pointing to Evan Mobley being a star, for this Cavaliers, and a big building block and big reason why they're going to be successful for the next few years to come. At 45, I have Tyrese Maxey. Maxey in 60 games last year in Philly, averaged 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 3.5 assists, shooting 48% from the field and 43% from 3. Last season was a big year. It's just the progression of Tyrese Maxey ever since he got into the league and keep going. He's just been great. His rookie year, he's very solid, has some moments. And in 2022, he took a big step, becoming the starter. And then last year, he took an even bigger step, becoming kind of the third, sometimes even second guy in Philly. Even though he did turn into a 6-man a little bit during the year, he's going to have another big jump, especially with the Sixers, the whole James Harden situation going on. And, he's going to have another big jump. And looking at what he's been doing, I can't say he can't have another big jump, Maybe he can become an all-star this season. Who knows? He's just has come a long way, really well. Fast, of course, his speed is big for the Sixers, getting out in transition and scoring. The 3-point shot has been amazing. A 43% 3-point shooter last year, 42% the year before, becoming an elite 3-point shooter, and his scoring ability really has just really popped off for the 76ers. He's a huge part of that team. It's probably going to be the future, depending on how things work out with Joel Embiid and James Harden. 44, I have Desmond Bane. Bane in 58 games in Memphis last year, averaged 21.5 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal, shooting 48% from the field and 40% from 3. It's kind of similar to Tyrese Maxey. The development and his progression year after year has gotten better, coming in as a late first-round pick, showing some flashes as a rookie with Memphis, then 2022 jumping into being, probably should have been the most improved player, and then last year taking an even bigger step, becoming, like their star player at some points with John Morant missing a lot of time. And who's to say he can't have another big jump this year with John Morant going to be out the next first 25 games of the year? Desmond Bane could really easily land himself into all-star conversation so he can have an even better year than he did last year. Really good as 2-guard. His shooting ability obviously jumps off the page. Think about last season was his worst 3-point shooting year by percentage, and he shot 40%. His worst shooting year was 40% from 3. That's crazy. The shooting ability obviously is there, but the ball handling ability and ability to create for himself has gotten a whole lot better year after year after year. I'm expecting him to probably be even better this season, and defensively he can hold his own as well. So yeah, Desmond Bane's gonna be a huge part for the Memphis Grizzlies, and with John Morant out, he's gonna have a lot of his shoulders to try to keep him afloat. At 43, I have Brook Lopez. Lopez in 17 games with the Bucks last year averaged just under 16 points per game with 6 rebounds and assists and 2.5 blocks, shooting 53% from the field and 37% from 3. Brook Lopez it's insane. His career trajectory has been insane. Right now at 35 years old, he's probably the best he's ever been. It's just been perfect for the Milwaukee Bucks. His scoring ability, his shooting ability, being one of the better three-point shooting bigs in the league is so valuable. His defense ability, he finished second last year in Defensive Player of the Year. Becoming an anchor down there is amazing, while still having the ability to score in the paint like he used to do back in his Nets days. And then he got awarded with a big contract this offseason, and even though he is 35 and doesn't have so much long left in his career, he's still super, super valuable to this Bucks team. One of the best, bigs that if you don't have a star big, like a Jokic or Embiid or anything like that, Brook Lopez is an amazing option, one of the best options of a non-star big man. At 42, I have Mikal Bridges. Bridges in 83 games last year, 56 with Phoenix, 27 in Brooklyn. For the total season, he averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal, shooting 46% from the field and 38% from 3. Of course, in Phoenix, he's one of the best 3-and-D wings in the league. Then he gets traded to Brooklyn and becomes a star. Averaging 26 points per game with the efficiency getting better. It's just insane. We know defensively he's going to bring his length. One of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Then offensively, having the capability of what he did in Brooklyn, if he can do that again this season, sky's the limit, really, for him. He can definitely be in that all-star conversation, especially if Brooklyn has a better year than a lot of people are expecting. And just this season is really just to see how real is Mikal Bridges. Was last year's 26 points per game on great efficiency, was that just, that situation? Or can he come in this season and do the same exact thing? Well, maybe not the same exact, but do a similar thing and lead the Brooklyn Nets. At 41, I have Darius Garland. Garland in 69 games for the Cavs last year, averaged 21 points, 2 rebounds, and almost 8 assists with a steal, shooting 46% from the field and 41% from 3. Garland, just really, really good. Coming in from what we saw in his rookie year to now is crazy. Even though he didn't make the All-Star team last year, got pretty similar numbers to what he did in 2022. One of the better young guards in the league. His scoring ability has been great. Last year was his best shooting season. He tied career high field goal percentage, shot 41% from 3, which is the best he's ever shot. His passing ability obviously is the big thing that stands out. His ability to play, make, facilitate, make plays for others, make others around him better has been great. And just keep improving. He's still only 23 years old. Still has a lot of time to keep getting better and better, and very excited to see him this year. Even with Donovan Mitchell, a guy that demands a lot of the ball, a lot of touches for himself, he still found a way to, have a similar year to what he was when he was an All-Star. So that's great for DG. At 40, I have Lauri Markkanen. Markkanen in 66 games with the Jazz last year, averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, and almost 2 assists, shooting under 50% from the field and 39% from 3. One most improved player last year, made the All-Star team last season. Just insane season from Lauri Markkanen. When he was in Chicago, a former top 10 pick, had some moments, but just couldn't really find his real rhythm and role in Chicago. Then goes to Cleveland, has a very solid year in a different position and stuff. Then he goes to Utah, it just blows up. Going from in 2022 in Cleveland, averaging 15, 5 and 1, 44% shooting and 35% from 3, to go into 25, 8 and 2, 50% shooting and 39% from 3, almost a 50, 40, 90. Club members just a little bit off from each spot. Just being amazing and doing it in a very unique way as well. Usually you see those numbers and you think he's just going one-on-one or taking all the shots and stuff, but really he's not. He plays a lot off the ball, a lot of catch and shoot threes, a lot of lobs, a lot of cutting and stuff like that, which makes him so different and so good, and why maybe he can keep this kind of consistency up, because it doesn't take so much for him to get these numbers, with that system in Utah. And I'm excited to see if he can sustain something similar to what he did last year this season. Even though the numbers I feel like might go down, he still will have the same kind of impact. At 39, I have Jrue Holiday. Holiday in 67 games with the Bucks last year, averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists with a steal, shooting 48% from the field and 38% from 3. Made the All-Star team for the first time since 2013 last season. Just a really, really good player. One of the guys that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but when he's on your team, you love him. one of the best, if not the best, perimeter defender in the league. Just makes it look so easy. The defensive end can do so many different things. And then offense as well, he's just a really good ball player. If you need him to score, he can do that. You need him to be a facilitator, he can do that. Need him to, whatever you need him to do, he'll be there to do it, and he'll do it at a very good level. And now with him in Boston, seeing that happen just shows how good he is, because he goes to Boston, and now Boston might be the favorite. That's such a crazy move for the Celtics to make. And Jrue Holiday, just a really good all-around basketball player. At 38, I have Karl Anthony Towns. Towns in 29 games in Minnesota last year averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 36% from 3. Of course, only 29 games last year, missed a lot of time. Especially, doesn't help that they had a whole brand new team. He had to play a position he didn't really play that much in the NBA before, moving over to the power forward spot. But Cat is still really good. Still multiple-time All-Star, All-NBA member. When he did come back in Minnesota last year, he did show some really good flashes. And this year is a big year, obviously, for them. A lot of people rejecting Minnesota to be a good team. And a big part of that is, of course, Karl Anthony Towns staying on the court and being healthy, but also him meshing with Rudy Gobert and him being comfortable at that power forward spot. So we're going to really have to see that work to see how they can adjust to it. But Cat is still a really good player. Still, again, all-star, all-NBA level players. Really, when he's out there really focused and locked in, he can be one of the best bigs in the league. At 37, I have Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis in 65 games at Washington last year averaged 23 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.5 blocks, shooting 49% from the field and 38% from 3. Porzingis had an amazing year last year, arguably the best year of his career. Average career high in points per game, career high shooting from the field, just career high assist. Really good year. He really found his role at Washington, was really comfortable with it. In Dallas, didn't work out great. They kind of try to make him something that he wasn't really comfortable with and wasn't good at. But now going to Washington, kind of being more free to do what he wants to do and having a better role for himself, he played really good. Of course, the shooting ability is great, the defense ability was really good, but what really impressed me was just being able to bang down low and score. And he had one of his most healthy seasons. 65 games is the most he's played since 2017 when he was a sophomore. So that's a big part of it. And now him in Boston as well, it just brings out team a whole new look. And ever since he's been playing preseason with Boston, he's been looking really good. So yeah, I'm very excited to see him in Boston. At 36, I have Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton in 56 games with Indiana last year averaged 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 10 assists with 1.6 steals, shooting 49% from the field and 40% from 3. He made the All-Star team last year as well. Just had a phenomenal year. Of course, when he was back in Sacramento, he had some flashes. Then he had the huge trade to Indiana, and ever since he got to Indiana, he's been great. And last year, he was just amazing, showing all the talent he has. He's still just 23 years old, has so much left to go to get even better. Offensively, he's really just the guy. He's kind of a hub offensively. He can score the ball well. His three-point shooting is amazing. He's been a 40% three-point shooter ever since he's been in the league. He can score, get his own as well when he needs to, but really it's the passing that separates him from everyone else. The passing ability to him to get in transition and find the open guy. The way he just sees the floor so well already at such a young age. He's just super good. And you saw last year in Indiana, at the start of the year when he was playing, they were a playoff team. Indiana was like a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference before he got hurt, and then they kept falling. Expecting a big year from Halliburton again, expecting a better year, and expecting the Pacers to be a really solid team because Tyrese is at the forefront of everything. At 35, I have Brandon Ingram. Ingram, in 45 games in New Orleans last year, averaged 24 points, 5 rebounds, and almost 6 assists, shooting 48% from the field and 39% from 3. Of course, the big thing that's been about Ingram has been the health. Last few years, he hasn't played healthy. The most games he's ever played in a year was 79. That was back in his rookie season. Ever since then, he hasn't played more than 62, which is tough. But Brandon Ingram, I think he's one of the most forgotten, better young players in the league. Like last year, he had a career year. He averaged career high in points, career high in assists, shot his best in the field in the while, tied for his best 3-point shooting season. Like, he had a really good year, especially at the end of the season. When the Pelicans are trying to make a play-in spot, he was huge in getting them there. He's a guy that can do a lot of different things. At 6'8", he can handle the ball really well. can score from all three levels, the three-point shot, the mid-range he's killer at getting to the rim, but his passing ability, I think that's a really underrated part of his game as well, is his passing ability really well. His defense is pretty good as well. He's efficient scoring-wise, and even though a lot of people are kind of forgetting about him, especially because that FIBA World Cup he didn't play that well, but Brandon Ingram is a young star, man. He's still 26 years old, and expecting a big year from him in New Orleans. At 34, I have Zach LaVine. LaVine has 77 games with the Chicago Bulls last year, averaged just under 25 points per game with 4 rebounds and 4 assists, shooting 48% from the field and 37% from 3. LaVine has been great since he's been in Chicago. Last year, even though he did have a rough start to the season, he came on strong at the end and played really, really well. He's an all-star level player, obviously. He's really good, one of the more efficient scorers, one of the most smooth. When you watch him, you're just like, dang, that dude can play. Can score on all three levels. The three-point shooting has been amazing. The mid-range, getting to the rim. Defensively, he's very solid as well. His ball handling and playmaking ability has gotten a lot better as well. He's just super, super good. And he's in a weird situation in Chicago, obviously, so we don't know how long he's going to be in Chicago, but let's say he does get moved pretty soon. That's a big come-up for a team that gets Zach LaVine, because they're getting a really, really good all-star level player. At 33, I have Jamal Murray. Murray in 65 games with Denver last year, averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal, shooting 45% from the field and 39% from 3. An amazing year, capping off with an NBA championship. Had an amazing playoff run where he averaged 26, 5, and 7 with 1.5 steals. Just amazing. And kind of forgetting that the year prior to this, he didn't play. He had an ACL injury, missed the entire season. To come back and have a similar year to what they already had, and then coming into the playoffs and just showing out, just has been really good. Probably arguably maybe the best player in the league right now that doesn't have an all-star appearance. Even though he doesn't have an all-star appearance, he isn't all. We know what Jamal Murray can do. Regular season, he's really good, but in the playoffs, that's where he really makes his mark. As a guy that can score from all three levels, very efficiently as well. He's just so good, and that playoff run was just phenomenal by him. At 32, I have Jalen Brunson. Brunson in 68 games in New York last year, averaged 24 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 6 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 41% from 3. After his time in Dallas, where he showed he could be a good player, New York paid him a lot of money, and people at first were like, I don't think Jalen Brunson's worth it. Maybe at the time he wasn't worth it, but after what he did last year, no one is saying that anymore. He just came out and dominated. I thought he was gonna have a good year, but I don't think anyone expected what Brunson did. Go from 16, 4, and 4 on 50% shooting, 37 from 3, to 24, 3, and 6 on 49% shooting, 41% from 3, and becoming kind of the guy, in New York. And even in the playoffs, he was better. In the playoffs, he averaged just under 28 points with 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.5 steals. That's insane, And the Knicks probably have another good year this year. Very interested to see if Jaylen Brown, if he has a better year he did last year, or if this is just what he is. If this is what he is, that's still really, really good. 24 and 6 assists on that shooting is still pretty good. But I'm interested to see if he has another level to him and if he can improve off last season. And yeah, probably going to be in the All-Star game this year, especially if the Knicks are, really good this year again, which I think they could be. Jalen Brunson will probably be in that All-Star game, but yeah, just insane what Brunson did last season. At 31, I have James Harden. Harden, in 58 games in Philly last year, averaged 21 points, 6 rebounds, and just under 11 assists with a steal, shooting 44% from the field and 38% from 3. Led the league in assists. Obviously, the whole James Harden situation going on right now, kind of taken away from how great of a player he has been, and how he was last year. But James Harden's still really, really good. Even though he is older, is far, far away from what he was like in his Houston days, he's still really good. Not scoring as much, obviously, but his facilitating. Probably one of the best passers, best facilitators in the league. Last year averaging almost 11 assists per game. Pretty solid efficiency. And even though the scoring numbers obviously have gone down because he's older and doesn't have as much shot selection, isn't the number one on the team anymore, he's still really, really good. And I should see the situation. If he does show up to Philly, which I think he probably is going to show up and play for Philly eventually, or if he does get traded to the Clippers, I think that's just a big pickup for them. Kind of a guy that if he goes to the Clippers, he doesn't really need to. He can kind of take a lot more easy. Kind of isn't really asked to do as much as he used to be. Kind of just pass, and when he needs to, come up big, he can come up big. But yeah, James, really, really good still, even at 33 years old, 34 now. Like, still really good. At 30, I have Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren had 63 games in Memphis last year, averaged 18 points, 6 rebounds, and assists, a steal, and 3 blocks, shooting 50% from the field and 35% from 3. Just had a great year last year. More defensive player of the year, made the All-Star team. Just amazing. Career year, becoming kind of the starting center now in Memphis. Well, I don't know, maybe he's going to move back to power forward. Steven Adams is back. But just really big, and I'm expecting a bigger year from him as well. The scoring side. Last year, he showed a lot at the end of the season when Ja Morant was out. He showed a lot more, being aggressive, just going for his own. But really where he brings the value is the defensive end. 3 blocks per game is amazing. And if he can keep that up, he's going to be one of the best anchors in the league. The shooting ability obviously is really good as well. Really, he just needs to work on the rebounding and the fouls. But I'm expecting a bigger year, especially with Ja Morant out. Like I said, with Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson's going to have to take another big step as well to keep the Grizzlies afloat with Ja. And even when Ja comes back, still expect him to have a really big year. At 29, I have Anthony Edwards. Edwards in 79 games in Minnesota last year, averaged 24 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal, shooting 46% from the field and 37% from 3. Made the All-Star team last season. And, we all know that Ant's probably going to be really, really, really good in his career. He's still only 22 years old. Consider putting him a little higher on this list, but I feel like, let's wait a little bit more to put him as high as some people do. But I think eventually he's going to reach that rank, maybe as soon as after this season. He has all the potential in the world to be great. He has everything for it. And I think Minnesota's going to have a really good year this year. He's probably going to make the All-Star team again, especially if Minnesota plays how people think they're going to play. And yeah, Anthony Edwards could take another big jump. Could take that. Last year, I think we were expecting the superstar jump, and we're a little bit too early on it. But I think this season could be the season that the superstar jump could come. At 28, I have DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan in 74 games in Chicago last year, averaged 24.5 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal, shooting 50% from the field and 32% from 3. DeMar kind of getting forgotten about. As well, especially because the Bulls are kind of bad, and he's getting older now at 34 years old. But DeMar is still really, really good, man. Ever since the 2 years in Chicago, he's been great. One of the clutchest players in the league, one of the most efficient scorers in the league. The mid-range game, probably the best in the league at it. Can still get a bucket whenever he wants to. Yeah, man, DeMar, love DeMar. DeMar's really good. Interested to see how long he stays in Chicago because, again, the Bulls aren't great right now. He's on the last year of his contract. If he does get traded, I feel like whatever team, even though he's not just a guy you can just plug in and fit anywhere, I feel like DeMar's going to make it work. I feel like DeMar's a guy that I can trust to make it work in any situation he goes to. At 27, I have Zion Williamson. Williamson in 29 games in New Orleans last year, averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists with a steal, shooting 60% from the field and 36% from 3. Zion is great. Obviously, he only played in 29 games last year, still was selected as an all-star starter. He's been an all-star in 2 of the 3 years he's played games, and really that's the only thing, is just games. Because when he does get on that court, he's dominant. We already seen it. When he gets on the court, no one really can mess with him. No one can stop him. It's just really about getting on the court and staying on the court. You know what I mean? And I hope this could be the year that we finally get a healthy Zion year, and he can just play consistently, and we can see that dominance once again. Because if he gets on the court, the Pelicans are going to be a good team, and he's going to be right back in that all-star game. At 26, I have Draymond Green. Green in 73 games in Golden State last year, averaged 8.5 points, 7 rebounds, and almost 7 assists with a steal, shooting 52% from the field and 30% from 3. Obviously, the stats, that's not his game. Draymond isn't a guy that is going to wow you with the stats, even though 8, 7, and 7 is pretty good. But Draymond Green's not a guy that's going to wow you with the stats, obviously. He wows you with everything else. Being one of the best defenders in the league, even though he's 6'6", he can guard basically anybody. He can guard the paint, he can guard the perimeter, he can get steals and get blocks, and just one of the powerhouses and one of the best offenses. Kind of the main hub of one of the best offenses. Getting people involved. His passing ability is great. His pass IQ, one of the highest IQs in general. in the league. You know, just knows where to be, the right spots, and all the stuff like that. You know, his game goes beyond, you know, putting up the numbers. You know, it's really about the impact that he has on the court. You know, that's why Draymond's this high and Draymond's who Draymond is. You know, we are now in the top 25 players. Starting at number 25, we have Trae Young. Young in 73 games in Atlanta last year, averaged 26 points, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, and a steal, shooting 43% from the field and 33% from three. Even though Atlanta had a disappointing year last year, he didn't make the All-Star team, which is random, but he did make the All-Star team. But he's still really one of the best point guards in the league. You know, like he's great. I mean, he's an offensive machine by himself. His scoring ability, obviously the shooting is amazing, even though not very efficient. He can hit the shots. His passing ability really is probably arguably the best passer, point guard in the league. You know, he can just do so many different things on the offensive end, getting people involved and doing all that stuff. Now his kind of play style is questioned a lot, being kind of a guy that, you know, has the ball in his hands a very lot and doesn't do much without the ball in his hands. Defensively as well, it's tough because he is very small. But I don't know, I've seen Trae Young so far in this preseason, and I don't know, I'm getting confidence in him in the Atlanta Hawks. Getting more and more confidence that they're going to have a big bounce back this season. They're going to be a really good team. And that starts with Trae Young and DeJounte figuring it out, but Trae Young also kind of adapting his play style to be more winning. At 24, I have Bam Adebayo. Bam, 75 games in Miami last year, averaged 20 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal, shooting 54% from the field. Bam, one of my favorite guys in the league. Just love Bam a lot. You know, last year, made the All-Star team for the second time in his career. His scoring took a big jump, average career high in points per game. Offensively, really the only thing is about his aggression. And sometimes he just doesn't really look aggressive out there. But when he is aggressive and is hungry, he can do a lot of different things. You know, getting inside and scoring, the lobs, obviously, the little mid-range jumper as well. His ball handling is really good for his size. His pass IQ is really high for his size as well. But really where he brings is the defensive end. Defensively, one of the most versatile big men, and one of the versatile defenders in general in the league. You know, can go do so many things, different things, guard the perimeter well, you know, guard the interior well, even though he is a little bit undersized, gets steals, gets blocks. He's just so good and such a valuable piece for the Miami Heat. And if the Heat want to make it to anywhere near where they made it back last year, Bam's going to have another big year. At 23, have De'Aaron Fox. Fox in 73 games in Sacramento last year, averaged 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists with a steal, shooting 51% from the field and 32% from three. Made the All-Star team last year, made All-NBA as well. Just an amazing year. The Kings in general had an amazing season, but De'Aaron was just on another level. You know, becoming one of the better point guards in the league. His quickness, probably the fastest dude in the league. Just so quick, changing speed and stuff. Getting to the rim, he's amazing at getting to the rim and getting a bucket. One clutch play of the year last year. You know, when it mattered the most, he came out and did what he had to do. Even though he's not an elite three-point shooter, he had his second best three-point shooting season of his career as well. It's just a huge part of that Sacramento Kings team, and if they're going to be good again and want to keep continuing to be better, De'Aaron is going to have to keep doing what he's been doing. You know, like De'Aaron just had a great year last year, man. Happy for De'Aaron to do that. You know, kind of put some respect on his name. At 22, I have Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis, 79 games with Sacramento last year, averaged 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 61% from the field and 37% from three. He made the All-Star team and made All-NBA as well last year, led the league in rebounds per game, had an amazing year, again, for Sacramento. Becoming an offensive hub, you know, being a big man that, you know, passing is very good for a center, you know, kind of initiating a lot of offense on a lot of handoffs, a lot of pick and roll action and stuff like that. Also bruising inside, getting buckets down there, rebounding, which is huge. And even though he's not an amazing defender down there in the paint, he got the job done. And Domantas just had an amazing year, you know, making the All-NBA and just helping lead this Kings team back to success, which is great last year for him. At 22, I have Pascal Siakam. Siakam, in 71 games in Toronto last year, averaged 24 points, 7 rebounds, and almost 6 assists, shooting 48% from the field and 32% from three. Made the All-Star team as well and made All-NBA. Just a really good year from Pascal. Had a career year, had a career high in points, career high in assists. Just really good. One of the more kind of, don't want to say disrespected, but a little bit more under the radar superstars because I think a lot of people see his game, and he's definitely not the most appealing kind of star. When you watch his game, not the most smooth or anything like that. Definitely a little bit weirder, but he's still really, really, can't deny how great he is. Leading Toronto to being a really solid team. Can do a lot of different things. Could score inside the paint. The mid-range has gotten a lot better. His ball handling is really good. His passing ability is very solid as well. His defense is good. Rebounding is good. The three-point shot is solid. He can do a lot of different things on the court. I'm interested to see his contract situation as well, because he's in the last year of his deal. And in Toronto, things don't look great over there. So I'm interested to see if he does stay around, or if he does leave free agency, or if he does get traded, maybe at the trade deadline, because whoever gets him, that's a great piece to add. At number 20, I have Julius Randle. Randle, 77 games in New York last year, averaged 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting 46% from the field and 34% from three. Made the All-Star team and made All-NBA as well. Just crazy how Julius Randle went to New York and all of a sudden is an All-NBA player. Looking at his first years in the Lakers and New Orleans, and even his first year with the Knicks, no one could have saw any of this coming. And now, Julius is really good. Again, it's kind of similar to Siakam, even though it's not the prettiest game, and even though in the playoffs he hasn't been as good as he has been in the regular season. Can't deny the fact that Julius Randle is one of the best in the game. His scoring ability is a bit crazy. His tough shot making has gotten better, from the mid-range, the three-point shot, bullying people down low. His rebounding has been good. Him, even handling the ball and making plays for others has got a lot better since he's come into the league as well. And very interested to see if Julius, because when he did this the first time back in 2021, he had kind of a down year in 2022. So last year he had a really good year. Hopefully he doesn't take another back step. And if he does, hopefully it's just the same kind of year, because I can see his numbers going down just because Jalen Brunson gets better, and Jalen Brunson kind of establishes himself as more as the guy in New York. But Julius Randle could still have a really good year. At number 19, I have Kyrie Irving. Irving in 60 games last year, 40 in Brooklyn, 20 in Dallas. He averaged 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists with a steal, shooting 49% from the field and 38% from three. Kyrie, don't really have to say much about Kyrie's game. One of the most skilled players we have seen. Really, it's just about the off-court stuff. But last year in Dallas, in 20 games, he looked pretty good. Got the extension last year in this offseason. And now, he's got a lot on his shoulders. Obviously, him and Luka are going to have to really kind of sort of ways carry this team to getting where they want to go. Because their team around them isn't really as established or proven, a whole lot. So Kyrie's going to have a lot on his shoulders, and it's interesting to see how him and Luka could work together as two guards that like to score and like to have the ball in their hands a lot. At 18, I have Anthony Davis. Davis has 56 games in the Lakers last year, averaged just under 26 points per game with 12.5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks, shooting 56% from the field and 25% from three. AD had a great year last year. Had his best year since the championship run back in 2020. Was just dominant inside, scoring-wise. Averaged the most points since 2020. Averaged career high in rebounds per game. His defense was there. Had his most efficient shooting season as well, 56% from the field. He had a really, really good year last year. Expecting a big year for AD as well. The playoffs he was really, really good. Really, the only thing is about consistency. Health as well, obviously. But health and consistency, that's really the only thing. Is he going to be able to come out every night and prove that he's a star and he's one of the best in the game? Or he's going to have one game when he does that, and then another game where he just kind of takes a back step. His consistency matters so much to the Lakers team. If the Lakers want any more success, especially with LeBron, LeBron's not going to be around for another few years. This could potentially be his last year in LA, LeBron. So AD really needs to be consistent. At 17, I have Paul George. George, 56 games with the Clippers last year, averaged just under 24 points per game with 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.5 steals, shooting 45% from the field and 37% from three. He made the All-Star team. Had a really solid year. 56 games, that's the most he's been. That's the most he's played since he's been a Clipper. And really, similar to AD, health. Obviously, a big thing for the Clippers in general, but for Paul George as well as health. Because when he's out there, he's one of the best two-way wings in the league. His scoring ability is there, even though he is getting a little older. At 33 years old now, he can still get a bucket, still score like the best of them, from all three levels. But defensively, really, is what big to bring impact. He's one of the best two-way wings in the league. Guard the perimeter, so versatile defensively. It's just really about staying on the court. You know, as long as he's on the court, the Clippers have a chance. You know, we've seen that. As long as he's on the court. At 16, I have Jaylen Brown. Brown in 67 games with the Boston Celtics last year, averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, with 3.5 assists with a steal, shooting 49% from the field and 33% from 3. Just the progression of Jaylen Brown. Just coming into the league and getting better and better each season has been amazing. And last year, capping it off, making All-NBA, All-Star team, and getting one of the base contracts in NBA history. You know, just insane. You know, him and JT have been amazing. His progression has been good as a guy that can get a bucket, you know, from the 3 ball, the mid-range, get into the paint. But the defense, as well, defense, one of the best two-way guards in the league defensively, can lock down. You know, and even though he had kind of a maybe underwhelming conference finals and playoffs, he's still really, really, really good. And he's still only 26 years old. You know, so him and JT are going to be around for a while, you know, over there in Boston. But yeah, just the progression of Jaylen Brown, how good he is, how good he's gotten since he came to the league is just insane. At 15, I have Ja Morant. Ja, 61 games in Memphis last year, averaged 26 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, and a steal, shooting 46% from the field and 30% from 3. Made the All-Star team as well. Ja has become a superstar. You know, he's become a star player, you know, leading Memphis back to being great, you know. Ever since he's become the guy in Memphis, the Grizzlies have been a really, really good team. You know, one of the most, you know, highlight reel, human highlight reel for real. You know, just insane dunks, insane athleticism, jumps off the page, making plays for others as well with his passing ability, and just bringing us so much energy, you know, and kind of fun. It's Grizzlies team. Now, the only thing is the off-court stuff. You know, he's not going to be around for the first 25 games, which is really going to suck for him in Memphis. But really, all he needs to do is just off-court. You know, off-court stuff, just kind of just stay cool. That's all he needs. Just stay cool and, you know, make sure, you know, he's in a great position, you know, to be able to come out and play and do what he does. Because when he's on the court, it's a huge difference for Memphis. At 14, I have Kawhi Leonard. Leonard in 52 games with the Clippers last year, averaged just under 24 points per game with 6.5 rebounds and almost 4 assists with a steal, shooting 51% from the field and 41% from 3. Kawhi, similar to a few other players I've mentioned a little bit before, it's really just injuries. You know, he did play 52 games last year, which is a lot more than I remember, but he's still really good. Even though he's getting a little older at 32 years old, he's still amazing. You know, still one of the best players in the league when he's really out there playing. Defensively, one of the best wings we got in the league. Defensively and offensively, just a guy that can go get a bucket whenever he wants. Has become so great. Had his most efficient year last year. I mean, he shot 51% from the field, 41% from 3. He was really efficient, you know. And one of the guys that when the game's on the line, moments are big, lights are bright, Kawhi is one of the guys you want on your court, on your side with the ball. You know, even though the injuries have been a big thing for him, he's still one of the best in the league. And hopefully, he can have a healthy for him is like 60 games for Kawhi. Hopefully he can be there and he can have a dominant season. At 13, I have Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell in 68 games with the Cavs last year, averaged 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists with 1.5 steals, shooting 48% from the field and 38% from 3. Donovan Mitchell just had an amazing year last year. I mean, made the All-Star team, made All-NBA for the first time. It was just insane, you know. After being a star in Utah, coming over to Cleveland and getting even better, you know, crazy. You know, leading the Cavs to a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, had a 71-point game in there, had a career season, just was amazing, you know. And a lot of stuff is going to be talked about his contract. He didn't sign an extension. He's waiting for the offseason. See if he's still going to stay in Cleveland or if he's going to go to New York maybe. But as long as he's in Cleveland, you know, Cavs are going to be really, really, really good. I'm excited to see the Cavs in general, but see if Donovan Mitchell can kind of keep that same level that he did last season. At number 12, I have Jimmy Butler. Butler in 64 games in Miami last year, averaged just under 23 points per game, with 6 rebounds and 5 assists with a steal, shooting 54% from the field and 35% from 3. Now, obviously, statistically, not as great as a lot of other players that we have around him on this list, but what really sets him apart is, of course, the playoff run. That playoff run was insane. The playoffs, leading Miami to a championship to the finals as an 8th seed. He averaged 27 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6 assists with almost 2 steals, shooting 46% from the field and 36% from 3. Had a 6-point game against Milwaukee in the first round. That series was insane for him. But just proving that, In that regular season, he's an all-star level player. He's really, really good. But in the playoffs, he just turns into a monster. Like, turns into a top 10, maybe top 5 player, when it matters the most. And he's just so, so, so good. Like, when it comes to playoff time, he's one of the best players in the league at, willing his team to win. Like, really putting the team on his back and saying, no, we are not losing this game. I, myself, am going to go out there and win this one for us. Like, he does that at such a crazy level when it comes to playoff time. You gotta respect it. At 11, I have Damian Lillard. Lillard in 58 games last year in Portland, averaged 32 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 46% from the field and 36% from 3. Dame surprisingly had a career year last year at 32 years old. Like, career high points, just career high shooting from the field. Like, he was just amazing. One of the best point guards in the league, obviously. Another guy where when the moments are bright, that matters the most, he's the guy you want on your team with the ball in his hands. His scoring ability, amazing, obviously. His passing ability is really good. He's just one of the best in the league. All NBA, all-star level player. Now he's in Milwaukee. That's just insane. Him and Giannis together are going to be crazy. And he's just going to bring Milwaukee to a whole nother level. We are now in the top 10. At number 10, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai in 68 games in OKC last year, averaged 31 points, 4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists with a steal, shooting 51% from the field and 34% from 3. Made the All-Star team and made All-NBA first team as well. Just a ridiculous season last year for Shai. 31 points, 31, 5, and 5, a steal and a block as well. 51% shooting. Like, what more can you really ask of him? And he's still only 25 years old, still has so much to do to grow. OKC let him one win away from a playoff game last year, which no one would have expected. And now OKC has big expectations, and a big part of that is Shai. Being a superstar, one of my favorite players to watch, because his game is not like a lot of other people's. He's not super athletic, super fast, super elite shooter or anything like that. But he just is smooth, knows how to score around the rim, just knows how to get a bucket. He can do that, and defensively he's really, really good. One of the best guards in the league defensively as well. With his length and stuff, he just could get a lot of swipes, and 1 block a game as a shooting guard is really good. But no, Shai is just really, really amazing. I can't wait to see what he has in store for us this season. At number 9, I have LeBron James. LeBron in 55 games for the Lakers last year, averaged just under 29 points per game, 8 rebounds, and almost 7 assists, shooting 50% from the field and 32% from 3. It's ridiculous. He's 38 years old, and he's putting up 29, 8, and 7. That's just crazy. Made the All-Star team, obviously, made All-NBA. Just amazing. At 38 years old, he can still give us moments like this. Just don't know when he's gonna slow down. You could definitely tell he's getting older, and ever since he got to LA, the injuries have really been in him. Only playing 55, 56, 45. Like, the injuries have been hitting him, but he's still been one of the best in the league. He's still been a top 10 player, and when he's on the court, he's gonna be probably the best on that court. When he steps out there, just amazing. I can't wait to see what he has in store for us in year 21. At number 8, I have Kevin Durant. KD in 47 games last year, 39 in Brooklyn, 8 in Phoenix in the regular season. He averaged 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists with a block, shooting 56% from the field and 40% from 3. Kevin Durant is 35, and last year at age 34, he had the best efficiency season of his career. 56% from the field, 40% from 3. Just amazing. Still at 34, about to be 35, can still get buckets with the best of them. Still averaging 29 points per game, still being one of the best we've seen in the league, and just knowing how to get a bucket whenever he wants to, whenever he wants to. Just amazing. The defense as well has gotten a whole lot better as he's gotten older, which has been great to see. But yeah, KD is still amazing. Interested to see how him, Booker, and Beal obviously work together out there in Phoenix. But yeah, man, KD just insane. Make it still do at this age. At number 7, I have Devin Booker. Booker in 53 games in Phoenix last year, averaged just under 28 points per game with 4.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and a steal, shooting 49% from the field and 35% from 3. D-Book is great. Amazing. KD and Beal went to Phoenix to play with him. That doesn't just happen with anybody. You know, like having Kevin Durant saying, I want to go to Phoenix to play with Devin Booker. You know, Bradley Beal coming to Phoenix saying, this is Devin Booker's team. That speaks a whole lot. You know, All-Star, only made one All-NBA team, which is crazy. But also last year, he missed a lot of time at the beginning of the season, so that really messed him up. But just what he's done in the league, how great he's gotten and becoming best shooting guard in the league, go get a bucket whenever he wants to. Just insane. I mean, the playoffs last year were amazing. I mean, those playoff numbers last season really what sets him up this high. I mean, last year he averaged almost 34 points per game with 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal, and shot 58% from the field and 50% from three. Though that's 2K numbers. That is 2K my player numbers. That shouldn't happen regularly. Like, that's insane. You know, like, D-Book is amazing. Again, can't wait to see what Phoenix looks like this season. But yeah, man, Devin Booker, man, looking like he's on trajectory to be a Hall of Famer. You know, number 6, I have Jason Tatum. Tatum in 74 games in Boston last year averaged 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal, shooting 46% from the field and 35% from three. I mean, amazing player, obviously All-Star, All-NBA, just amazing. You know, like, dude that can really get a bucket whenever he wants to from all 3 levels. Defensively, he's gotten a whole lot better. His playmaking and ball handling has gotten a whole lot better as well. Just really, really good. You know, on the pace to be one of the best Celtics of all time. You know, which is, or say something, because Celtics have had a long history and had a lot of players show up to that team. So for Tatum to be one of the best of all time, that means a lot. You know, like, and he's still 25. It's crazy. He's still 25 years old and he's already done so much. You know, already All-Star, All-NBA, you know, made it to the finals, been in the playoffs every year of his career. Like, he's just been insane. Again, on the mark to be a Hall of Famer, one of the best Celtics of all time. And now for the top 5. At number 5, I have Joel Embiid. Embiid in 66 games with Philly last year, he averaged 33 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block, shooting 54% from the field and 33% from three. Won the MVP, All-Star, All-NBA, led the league in points. Just amazing, you know. Like Joel, of course, talk a lot about his playoff success, which I talked about in my top 10 centers video, which you can go back and watch. His playoff success obviously is the only thing that's really holding him back. But, I mean, you can't deny Joel's dominance. You know, anytime he steps on the court, no one really can stop him. You know, he's dominant. You know, he can score any way he wants to in the interior, has so many moves and can back you down, get to the free throw line, gets good in the mid-range, the three-point shot, can block shots defensively. Like, there's nothing he really can't do, you know? Like, he can just do so much on the court. He's so dominant. He has the ability to be so dominant. You know, the only thing that's holding him back is his playoff success. At number 4, I have Luka Doncic. Luka, in 66 games in Dallas last year, averaged 32 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and a steal, shooting 49% from the field and 34% from three. Luka, just not really too much to talk about with Luka Doncic. I mean, he's amazing. You know, he can do anything he wants on the court. He can score all 3 levels whenever he wants to. He can handle the ball. He can post up. He can hit the mid-range. He can hit the threes, step backs. His playmaking ability is amazing. His rebound ability, his defense is solid. Like, there's nothing he really can't do either. You know, and he's 24. He's 24 years old. He's already made 4 All-Star teams, 4 All-NBA teams, averaged 32, 8, and 8. Like, he's made the conference finals already. Like, there's, like, how can you not expect him to be, by the end of his career when he's 40, whenever he stops playing, like, he's going to be one of the greatest, you know? Like, it's insane what Luka can do already at this age and what he's already done. And really, again, it's just about, you know, he's probably going to win MVP very soon. I don't know when, but he's going to win an MVP. You know, like, it's Luka, you know. At number 3, I have Steph Curry. Steph, in 56 games last year in Golden State, averaged 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 42% from three. Steph is Steph, you know, arguably the best point guard of all time, the best shooter we've ever seen. Last year had a really good year. 29, 6, and 6. Average career high in rebounds, assists, his most in a very long time. You know, his shooting, shot the best he has since in a very long time. You know, like, he had a really good season. You know, and just kind of establishing himself as one of the best we've ever seen. You know, and even though he's 35 years old, still has a whole lot left in the tank. As long as that shooting ability is there, he's going to be dangerous. At number 2, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis in 63 games last year in Milwaukee averaged 31 points, almost 12 rebounds and 5 assists, shooting 55% from the field and 27% from 3. I mean, Giannis is an amazing player. He's always going to be in the MVP conversation. He's always going to be one of the top in the league, one of the best in the world at that point. Expecting a big year for him in Milwaukee, especially after what happened last year when they lost in the first round. Now with Damian Lillard, the Bucks are going to be there, probably the favorites to win another championship. And he's going to go. He's also going to on trajectory and probably going to go down already as one of the greatest of all time. And he's already named the top 75 anniversary team at 27 years old. He still has a long time left. That resume's only going to keep getting better, and he's going to end up as one of the greatest. And at number 1, the best player in the NBA right now, Nikola Jokic. Jokic in 69 games in Denver last year averaged 24.5 points, almost 12 rebounds, and almost 10 assists. With a steal, shooting 63% from the field and 38% from 3. Capped it off with a Finals MVP. We're in the playoffs. He averaged 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 9.5 assists with a steal and a block, shooting 54% from the field and 46% from 3. He is just phenomenal. Amazing playoff run. Capped it off with a Finals MVP. He's already got 2 MVPs in his own as well. 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He's really good. Not really much he can't do. Offensively, can just do everything he wants to. Defensively, he's gotten a whole lot better as well. He's just so good. One of the best guys to have on your team if you want, to win. Jokic can do that. Jokic can do anything he wants to win. So, yeah, interesting to see how he comes out this year with Denver and if they can repeat again. But yeah, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing, turn notifications, also like that. Really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.